Hello everyone, welcome in a new video. Today I'm going to show you a little bit about how I use Procreate, what kind of brushes I use, how I pick my colors, and how I create my artwork. So if you are interested in knowing more about how I create my art and my illustrations, welcome and let's start. Okay, so first of all, I'm using an iPad Pro 11-inch second generation. I've been using it for about a year now and it's been working just perfectly for me. I'm using the app called Procreate, which you probably know perfectly. So yeah, let's get started. First of all, I'm going to show you all the brushes I use. They are all the brushes that can come with Procreate. I haven't bought anything. They are just like regular brushes. I created a new category that's named a favorite and put all my favorite brushes in here. The one I use the most is 6B pencil. I do all the sketches with it, all the outlines and coloring. Then for adding shadows and some depth and volume, I use a gouache brush. It's a really nice one. It blends really well and it has a nice texture. I sometimes mix it with a watercolor brush. It's also one of my favorite, but like my main two brushes are 6B pencil and gouache pencil. Then if I want to add some texture, I'm also using 4B compressed pencil, a medium nozzle, and usually just one of these five. It's Oberon, which gives a which has a nice texture, and the next one is Morilla. I also really like how it works, and all of these brushes just giving this extra variety for your painting. This is actually one of my favorites for texturing. It's called Barn Tree and I use it a lot. And the last one is Melaleuca. And as I said, all of these brushes come with Procreate, so you can find it in your app easily. Okay, so now let's get back to painting. Let's get back to my painting process. So I'm always starting with a sketch. I've already did one here. It's going to be an illustration for a challenge I'm hosting on Instagram right now. It's called September of Characters and it's all about creating characters every day for a different prompt. If you want to know more about it, you can check out my Instagram. There are some really nice prompts, so maybe you can still join us. And yeah, this one is for a prompt costume. It's going to all be actually on Monday, so if you want to draw something for this one, you can still do it. And yeah, I've already done a sketch because it takes a while to do a sketch, so I wanted to do it off camera. And I did it using a 6B pencil brush, as I told you earlier. And I put a sketch in two different layers. The first layer is a character, and the second one is the background. It's just easier for me to work this way because I can like turn one of the layers on and off if I need it. if for example I already painted the character, I can just turn the sketch off and I can see the background sketch. So yeah, this is just easier. Now on to painting. To start painting, I'm going to put both of these background layers, both of these sketch layers on the low opacity. This one I'm just eyeballing as I want it to look. I can still see it, but it's not too bright or too dark. And yeah, I'm going to create a new layer and put it underneath it so I can always see the sketch. And I'm going to start painting with the kid's face. So I'm picking a skin color. And okay, yeah. So when I'm using a 6B pencil for outlining, I go to pencil settings and set the streamline pretty high, about 70-80%. So my line is actually nice and straight, because otherwise, if this is just like on 0, I got a lot of like wobbles and it just not looks that great. So I like it's like a smoothing option in Photoshop, I guess. So I'm putting a streamline and then I'm outlining face. Now onto coloring. I'm turning the streamline off, so it's just faster. And I could just like put a solid color inside. Oh, sorry. But I actually like the texture of 6B pencil, so I'm always coloring it in by hand, and it's not a big difference, but it's visible, and it just gives this, makes it more, a little bit more interesting, and just don't look so plain. Okay, so it's all blocked in, and I can see now that the color, skin color, is a little bit too dark. I wanted it to be a little bit lighter, so I'm going to pick up a little bit lighter color, and now I can just like put it on. And yeah, I'm going to paint like all of the elements on a different layers. For example, now I'm going to paint hair, and then tiger costume, and then hands, then and then the background. When everything is on a separate layer, it's easier to change it later, to manipulate, to change the color. Now I'm just like picking colors like how I feel, what would look the best, but I can always change it later, so they all fit together nicely. One of a tip I have for you for coloring this way is to like regularly take the pencil off the screen, because if you paint a big area and then like go a little bit off and you want to undo, you have to undo the entire thing. So it's just better to like take the pencil off from a canvas once in a while. I'm sometimes forgetting about it and just like paint the entire thing, and this last little piece I just go a little bit away from the border and have to undo the entire thing. So I'm going to paint everything, all of the elements. I'm going to block in all the colors, and I'm going to come back to you and show you what I do next. Okay, character is done so far. Now I'm going to create some layers underneath. I also turn off the character sketch. Oh, I still have a tail character still. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the character sketch layer so it's more clear and visible, and go to the layer underneath, and I'm going to block in all those shapes for plants. And I have a color palette set especially for vegetation, for plants, for leaves. I use it for all my backgrounds. I don't only use this color, I sometimes change them a little bit, but that's mostly this. So I'm going to just pick one and paint, like for example this kind of leaves. Okay, and I'm painting next one on a new layer, and I'm just trying to use different green shades so they won't like all mixed together. I also sometimes use like more bluish or purple one, maybe a little bit of pink, but yeah, today I just have 3 different kind of leaves, so I'm just going to use green ones. The green also goes well with the orange costume. It gives this nice contrast, so the character really stands out. And I just like this color combination. Okay, so we are now done painting all the shapes, blocking in all the shapes with colors, and I'm not that entirely happy about this orange one. I think it would need to be a little bit more red. So okay, not like this. See, choosing a layer and then okay, so I think it's better now. Okay, once all this is done and I'm happy with all the colors, I'm going from the most bottom layer and starting adding details. So I'm going to go one by one through each layer, and I'm going from the bottom one to the top one just to not miss anything. Okay, so for this leaves I'm going to pick a contrasting color. For example, let's say those are pretty dark, so I can choose a bright yellow, and I'm just going to add a few details here. And I sometimes use very contrasting color, and sometimes I can just pick just a darker and more bluish color, or just whatever feels like at the moment. Okay, so for example, here's the other one, and I'm putting it here on the alpha log because I like to do the outline for this kind of a big leaves, and I always do the outlines with a brighter color, so I'm going to pick a brighter one, but since here I used a yellow already, I'm going to use a blue this time just to give it more variety. And yeah, and I'm just going to go and do this like a loose outline. So far I'm only using a 6B pencil. It's actually my go-to pencil, so it's my go-to brush, and I'm using it for almost everything so far. I think I'm going to try some new brushes because I would also want to try some new techniques. But so far the 6B pencil is just for almost everything. Sometimes to get a color that would work properly, it just needs a couple of trials, errors. Here I tried with a purple one, but I just didn't really like the results, so I went back to the green one, and I chose a green one with blue tones, so it matches nicely. And the last one, this one maybe I will use a dark blue for this one. Colors look differently when you just pick them from a color palette and when you put them down on the canvas. So it's important to just try on the canvas and see if the color works or not. For example, here it's looking a little bit maybe too dark, so I'm going to try a little bit brighter one, and this one is just perfect. So it does take a while to learn how to pick colors. You sometimes just need a couple of errors before you find a good one. Okay, I'm pretty happy with the result. Okay, so background is ready so far. I sometimes also like to add like a plant, like only an outline of a plant. It just gives a little bit more details, but I usually do it at the end. So now let's move to the other layer. And here I'm just going to add some shadows. For the head, I'm going to like alpha lock it. And I'm going to pick a color for a shadow. So what I usually do is just move the color a little bit to the right and down, just tiny little bit, and also change hue tiny little bit. So it gives me a perfect color for shadows. And I'm going to use a gouache brush now and just add some depth to the painting. And then usually the shadow under the hair is much darker, so once I'm done with this step, I'm going to choose even darker color. So again, a little bit to the right and down on the color palette, and then changing a hue tiny little bit and adding some even darker color under the hair. Okay, and I also like to add some detail here. Maybe it is a little bit too dark, so let's get back. Okay, and now to the costume. So first of all, I'm going to add some shadows, so I'm going to alpha lock it, but first I'm going to make a new layer and clip mask it. So when I paint, it's only going to paint on the area where there's already a costume, and I'm going to turn back on my sketch layer. And as you can see, there is a lot of like, because this is a tiger costume, so there are going to be some stripes. And first I'm going to like make an outline of the arms. So again, I'm going to just pick a darker color with a little bit different hue and mark those spots. And then I can create a new layer, clip mask it again, and use like almost black, but I'm never actually using black. When I want to like have something black, I'm using a color that is somewhere over here. And I'm going to paint all the stripes now. All of the layers basically the same. I'm first adding some shadows, and if necessary, I'm also adding some like other details with 6B pencil, like here, or the fingers. And yeah, this is how it goes. Now let's move to hair. I can show you how I paint them. So first of all, I'm alpha locking the layer, choosing a little bit darker color, and with a gouache paint I'm adding like a shadow like under the hair, and also with a darker color like shadows that are all around. And when this is done, I'm just creating a new layer, and with this dark brown, I'm going to come with a 6B pencil and do some loose hairs. So yeah, I'm going to do it on a new layer, and I like to paint them like going even a little bit away from the like main hair part, so it looks more natural and gives a little bit more texture, details. So yeah, that's basically it. Okay, once this is done, I can go back with an eraser and just get rid of the unnecessary ones. So I'm taking a lighter color and then just do all the same with a lighter color. Yeah. If I use second color, I like to make a new layer, and okay, let's first. Okay, so when I'm using a lighter color as well, I'm going to do a new layer over all of it and click set it in the multiply mode and pick up the brown color, and with a gouache pencil I'm going to add back all these shadows, because when you put a lighter color in here, then the shadow tends to disappear a little bit, so we don't want that to happen. But yeah. So the illustration is almost finished at this point. I still got a hatch to do. I'm going to do it exactly as I did the rest of the costume. So first of all, I had like this teeth. So let's pick a color and paint them in here. I haven't done it earlier. I think it could be just left like this. If I'm not sure if I want to color it or not, I'm going to make a second layer, put it underneath, or it doesn't matter actually that much, and just color it on a second layer, and then I can merge them together later on if I want to. Actually, I should have done this step before, because the shadow I put would be totally not visible right now, but don't worry, errors happen. So yeah, I think I actually prefer it colored in, so I'm going to merge those two layers, and I'm going to come back to this multiplied layer and back with a gouache brush and put this shadow back in there. you just double click accidentally and didn't see it, and it looks like I did it here. So yeah, but I am going to put in all the stripes first and then color it again. Okay, so all the layers are finished, and I'm going to go back to the plants. I'm going to pick some and try to place some extra layer of leaves here. Okay, I'm also going to add a couple of them in the front, but maybe in a different color. Everything is nice and ready, and I am happy with the result. So I'm going to add one more layer, set it to the overlay, and pick a light orange yellow color. And with a gouache paint, I'm going to add some highlights, like on the head. It's not very visible, but it just makes the color looks a little bit nicer. And okay, so here we are, all ready. I'm just going to add my signature now. And I'm ready to export the illustration. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel to help it grow. And if you have any questions about Procreate or anything I did, leave it down in the comments, and I'm going to answer. And yeah, so thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.